We just went through one of the coldest winters in recorded history. And now we're going through, I think, the worst mosquito season in Alaskan history. I mean, they're terrible. But it's because we had a lot of snow. I think we had close to 9 foot of snow in the Fairbanks area this year. And because of the deep snow, we have a lot of mosquitoes. It gives them puddles of water for them to put their eggs and hatch. It's just a terrible mosquito season. But when I lived in the Arctic, the mosquitoes were horrendous. In fact, if you saw a caribou herd, you better run because above that caribou herd, you would see clouds, and those clouds weren't rain clouds; they were mosquito clouds. Zillions of mosquitoes following those caribou around, and the caribou would go nuts. They would start running, and they would run. Actually, they would just migrate to the mountains in July because that's when the worst mosquitoes were. But the Alaskan Malamutes, they, I mean, they're amazing dogs, just amazing. And of course, they originated in Arctic Alaska, and they wear their winter coats all through the summer. They don't blow. They usually don't blow them until fall time, and the reason being is because Arctic Alaska, it gets hot. I've seen it 85 degrees there many times with intense 24-hour sun. And that thick fur protects them. It not only protects them from the heat, but it protects them from the mosquitoes. And when we're in a bad mosquito season up there in the Arctic, the Malamutes, they curl up like they're in a blizzard. They put their muzzles under their tails and they just lay there all day in the hot sun, and it doesn't bother them a bit. But you don't want to be working a lot, your dogs in the summer. They just like to sit around. They don't mind laying in the sun. In fact, if you make shade for them, they still lay in the sun. It's just amazing to see. Hello, folks. Joe here from Salcho, Alaska, a town of about 1,200 people, and probably 300 or 400 dogs. So I guess a population of 1,600 souls. But I'm going to talk to you today about longevity. There's a lot of talk out in the mushing community that people are retiring their sled dogs around 8 years old, which is absolutely crazy. Come on. These guys are going in their prime at 7 or 8 years old. You can see my videos of online, especially our great lead dog Dozer. He's 8. I mean, he's he's not ready to retire. So what is going on? What is the deal with such a short career for sled dogs or any working dog? This really matters. I think it matters to everyone. Everyone who has a dog, we need to look at why the longevity is, some like our dogs, our longevity is amazing. These guys will run in harness until they're 14, and they love every second of it. I mean, if I was to tell them that they're going to retire at 8, 10, or even 12, and if they're human, they would kick me out of the dog kennel. Get out, we're not going to retire. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on now. And I know the reason. When I was 8 years old, my dad taught me how to shoot a rifle, and he gave me a 22 caliber rifle, single shot, and a beagle. And he said, get out there and get some rabbits. I was 8 years old. And so that's what I did. And I learned all about working dogs, and I've been training working dogs, now that I think about it, for 57 years. And I'll tell you what, that first beagle, his name was Prince, he taught me a lot. Oh boy. I mean, I was basically, he was teaching me and I was going to school. He was training me, and I learned a lot from that beagle. And ever since then, I learned a lot from all my dogs, and they've taught me well. Of course, there's still much to learn every year when I go on these 2 or 3 months long Arctic expeditions. My dogs still teach me, and they remind me because I have a short memory. So let's get started. I have three principles I start with. The first is the maturity of a dog. Um, I never work my dogs until they're at least physically and mentally mature, which is 2 years old or older. And the second principle is, of course, feed. I free feed our puppies until they're at least a year, 2 years old. That's very important. And third is overwork. There hasn't ever been a time anyone in my team, I usually use a team of 22 dogs, that has ever been tired, fatigued, and certainly not overworked. This is most important. Going back to our first principle, the maturity of a dog. Dogs are very impressionable, especially the first 2 years of their life. I mean, everything matters. They have to be in a positive environment 100% of the time. We have to be really careful of that. Life is play. Everything they do is play. There is no, sure, we can teach them to sit, stay, and lay down, roll over, and play dead. Yeah, that's all fun stuff. And they think it's a game because they get treats. But we don't ever want to put them in a harness before 2 years old. And this is very important because if they get injured in any way, in a harness, running down a trail, suddenly it's not play. It it becomes hurtful, and they remember it. Um, so we just want them to mature mentally as well as physically. The growth plates in Alaskan Malamutes, they don't fuse together until about a year and a half old, and we don't want to give them arthritis by the time they're 5 and 6 years old. I mean, that will happen if you start them too early. And of course, the biggest, most important is their mental attitude. This is where it's all at. You ever notice that a happy person is a hard worker? And this is the same thing with our dogs. I mean, I always say, if it's raining fire and brimstone, these guys are still going to be happy and they're going to still work hard. I mean, this is what a happy demeanor does to a person and a dog. So we have to keep that joyous, happy demeanor in our dogs, forever, for their entire lives. And the only way we can do that is by letting them know that everything they do is play. Everything. And so when we hook them up in the harness, it's a game for them. They are ready to play. And as long as we preserve that demeanor, that cheerful warrior, love of life demeanor, even though it's hard work, they will have this joyous attitude, this happy attitude for their entire lives. And this is what we want. We want them to be happy doing what they do. We don't want a depressed dog, disgruntled dog, a dog that's in a mode where he's conserving energy and just keeping the lines tight just to please us. No, we want a dog that puts his heart into it, that loves it, that lives a good long life and loves you. And this is what this does by not working them too early. We got to let them mature mentally and physically. And this is so important. And I can't emphasize this enough. I mean, it's so important to allow them to grow up. I mean, to their full potential. Same thing with our children. We always want our children to grow up to be, the best they can be, their full potential in whatever field they decide to go, whether it's engineering or to become an artist. We want them to do their best, to be their best at what they do. Same thing with our sled dogs or any kind of a working dog or even a house dog. We want them to be the best they can be. And we can hinder that by starting them too early. It not only hurts them physically, but it totally ruins their enthusiasm mentally. This is what I'm seeing all over dog mushing community is that, they're retiring their dogs at 7, 8 years old. Goodness sakes, my dogs are going their prime at 8 years old. So this is one of our first principles, is allowing our dog just to play for the first 2 years. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. We don't need to put them in a harness and try to, train them and teach them how to pull. They're gonna know how to pull. You put a dog in a harness, and he's gonna want to pull at 2 years old. I mean, they're ready to go, and they love it. And this is the whole secret is just to have them go in the harness and just love it and believe that it's play, and we can destroy that by overworking them. And this is the next principle I want to talk about in the next series. So stay tuned, folks, and God bless.